Welcome, this is Professor AKIA coming to you from Seoul, Korea. This show is where I talk about movies released here in Korea and also talk a bit about the Korean language. Today's subject is the movie Spotlight, directed by Tom McCarthy. I did go over what the Korean title for this movie is in part 1. Please click below if you have not seen that video. So the movie Spotlight is getting a lot of attention since it won Best Picture at the Oscars. But I have to ask, is the movie Spotlight overrated? Let's pause for a moment for a Korean language lesson. Words. In Korean, the word overrated can be translated as 과대평가. 과대평가. Sentence structure. As Korean and English are different languages, their sentence structures are quite different. I show you how it differs below with an example. Let's look at the following sentence. Is it overrated? In Korean, you need to shuffle the words like this. It overrated is. It overrated is. Back to your regular programming. One thing about Spotlight is that it is very well crafted and brings a rather difficult story to tell on screen because it is just about people looking at paperwork and talking to each other. That could get very, very boring fast. In terms of being well crafted, Spotlight reminds me of Steven Spielberg's Bridge of Spies. That movie oozed craftsmanship, although the end product was not a masterpiece of cinema. Compared to Bridge of Spies, Spotlight has an upper hand as the story is more focused. However, I have to ask you, is that enough? I mean, when judging a movie, is the craftsmanship on screen alone enough to make that movie great? To answer that question, we need to examine the point of Spotlight. What is the purpose of telling that story on screen? I think I can narrow it down to 2 points. The first is to bash the Catholic Church and priests. In our PC society, Catholic priests and Nazis are the safest thing to hate on. Second, the point is to say that journalism used to be so great. Now it is so shitty with all the bloggers, What more can you say? Go Boston Globe. These are the main selling points of the movie. And there is not much else to it. There are not even any real characters, quotation, to sell the movie on, while solid actors bring a lot to their roles in Spotlight. All of the characters are just archetypes that perform a story function. You have the good old boy, who is the pillar of the community. You have the casual Catholic, and you have the lapsed Catholic. While these characters are all performed with skill, they are still very, very shallow on the page. In other words, Spotlight is not a character movie. Going back to the selling points of the movie, let's look at the first one. The problem with the first selling point is that it is old news. The story is 15 years old now. Society had its uproars and then the comedians came in and mined it for a joke to the point that it is already depleted. And so simply by the merit of time passing, the Catholic Church is making a comeback. In addition, Spotlight doesn't really have anything new to say about the subject matter. It does not provide an in-depth look into the inner workings of the Catholic Church beyond the basics. Except for one line of dialogue, it doesn't even look into the reasons why this phenomena is happening. So, really, I got nothing new from this movie. What about the second selling point? Well, the movie shows what the reporters did to get their news story. And to be frank, nothing really happened. They just did their jobs with competence. They went through a lot of paperwork and did a lot of interviews. Basically, they just did their job in a competent manner. And when that competence is rare, that is commendable. But is it enough for a compelling story? In addition, the movie doesn't really go into detail about the journalistic profession, other than showing the audience how tedious it was to do research in 2001. I mean, no internet. There is not much explained about the process of the profession beyond the casual understanding people have. And once again, I emphasize the fact that Spotlight as a movie is very well crafted. Just in terms of its craft, the movie may have earned its Best Picture nomination, not the win though. However, the main issue with Spotlight is that there is nothing more on display other than the craft. So to answer my question on whether the movie Spotlight is overrated, my answer would be yes. Spotlight is a well-crafted but overrated movie. At the end of the day, Spotlight will not be one of the movies I remember from 2015. I'll remember Bridge of Spies before I remember Spotlight, basically because Bridge of Spies has more interesting characters, even though it's less focused storytelling. So thanks for going through part 2 of my Spotlight talk. If you missed part 1, click below. Oh, and before I go, if you have comments about the movie or the Korean language, leave it below. And please subscribe to my channel and visit my blog at kmovietalk.com. Have a nice day. Is it overrated? In Korean, the sentence structure is it overrated is. 그것은 과대평가되었으니까. That is the Korean sentence for is it overrated. Thank you. Have a nice day. Ooh.